bonus episode 3 of the Infectious Grove Podcast. We are still in album tournament mode for this bad boy. You've got myself. My name is Russ. Michelle and Kyle are with me. How you guys doing?
Oh, you know,
we're doing.
Still
weird living.
Still getting in this weird situation right now. However, if you're not us, you have a whole bunch of extra content for free to carry you through. So
That's true.
If you've been following the tournament, you know Kyle and I picked 8 albums apiece that we like. We're going to defend one each week. Michelle decides which one is going to move on in the tournament, and then we go from there. So last week, Eminem, Music to Be Murdered By, took on Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, and obviously Guns N' Roses. Oh, wait. Nope. I'm sorry. Eminem, Music to Be Murdered By one. My bad. My bad. Yeah, that was an accident. And you know what? I didn't even mean to do this, but I'm
Freudian slip.
Yeah, I'm going to set myself up for using this new drop that I made, and I didn't even mean to. From what I understand, Axl Rose heard last week's episode, and here's what he said.
Okay, never mind.
So
that's right. Never mind.
Yeah, we lost a listener in Axl. So
now this episode's gonna get taken down because you played that.
Yeah. No, there's no music. There's no music in it. I made sure specifically to strip out the music. So up this week is Garth Brooks' second album, No Fences, versus Led Zeppelin's fourth album, which believe it or not is titled Led Zeppelin 4. Yeah, I know. Let's get right into it. Kyle, take us through Garth Brooks' second effort and why you nominated it for this competition.
Different than the other albums that I chose, I did not choose this based upon the fact that I thought it would do good in any sort of tournament. I chose this specifically based upon the fact that I love this album in general.
You know what I find was this the first Garth album you ever heard?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. The reason I say that is because my favorite Garth album is the one after this, and that's the first one I ever heard. And I have a friend of mine who didn't hear Garth until Fresh Horses came out, and that's his favorite Garth album. So I think it's like some sort of developing pattern where like you latch yourself to the first Garth album you ever heard.
Yeah, and specifically Friends in Low Places. Like I can't. Garth Brooks is some of the only country that I ever listened to growing up and still listen to now because I have such a I don't know, like an intimate connection to it. I don't know if that's the right word, but
no, yeah, absolutely.
And this album, it has monster hits on it. Like all the albums that we chose have monster hits on them, I think. But it is a monster record. I want to say a lot of people who are fans of Garth Brooks are people who aren't even fans of Garth Brooks and just know a little bit about him or have heard this song or that song. Several of the songs that they would know of him singing come off of this record.
Yeah, it's one of those albums that at least most people, if they've heard of Garth Brooks, they've heard of Friends in Low Places, but they probably have heard of the other songs on here as well, like the other hits that are on here as well. My only issue, because I spun it front to back the other night, and I was right before I put it on, I thought, why don't I love this album as much as the third one, which the third one is Rope in the Wind. And to me, this album is very much a single vehicle. Like I've never been the guy that just likes the singles on a record, but for this one, the singles absolutely are the ones that stand out for me. It's almost every other song on the record is great for me, and it happens that almost every other song on the record is the singles, you know?
Yeah.
What are the singles?
So,
besides Friends, what are the singles? Because I only know Friends was a single.
It starts off with The Thunder Rolls, which was a single. Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House, Friends in Low Places, and Unanswered Prayers are all the singles that were off of this. So,
and
but go ahead.
What's funny is like as much as I love Friends in Low Places, like I don't know if I love any of the singles more than another. Like I love them all because I grew up listening to them. So it's like though like at every family event that I've ever had, like Friends in Low Places comes on and everyone drunk dances, and that's just a thing that happens. And that's what I grew up listening to.
Wait. You play Friends in Low Places a lot while you're drunk? I personally,
not me specifically, but
I personally have never seen that.
Me neither.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House, like that is a goddamn jam. And I like when we went and seen him live, like everyone lost their shit when he played that. Like, and that's not even one of his best songs, I don't think.
That's one of those songs that when people lose their mind, because I've seen Garth 4 or 5 or 6 times maybe. As soon as that song starts, people lose their mind, and it's not a bad song at all. But every time I'm like, really? Like that many people love this song? You know what I mean? Like it just kind of surprises me.
Everybody sings along. Everybody sings along to every word.
I will say I think the best single off of this record, like the most iconic without a doubt, is Friends in Low Places. Like that's just an iconic song. But me personally, I think the best single off the record is Unanswered Prayers, like by, forgive the phrase, Country Mile.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I really like Thunder Rolls too, but Unanswered Prayers definitely, aside from it, obviously, Friends in Low Places taking the party anthem of the whole record, basically.
Yeah.
But,
see, Thunder Rolls, the studio version gets points deducted for me because I like the live version better with the extra verse. And Friends in Low Places, I like the extra verse, but I could take it either way. But Thunder Rolls is a good song that gets taken way over the top for me with the extra verse that is not on the studio album. You see what I'm saying on that?
And see, until I met you, I didn't even know that there were these extra verses that existed on different records and whatnot.
Oh man, as soon as he says she runs back down the hallway, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. And I'm sure I said that to you the first time you heard it.
It adds a whole new level to all of the songs that have an extra verse that he does, and that's awesome.
I'm gonna stop talking up your record now and remind everyone that version is not repeat not on this album.
So don't take it into consideration.
Correct. But having said that, and I'm not saying this to be funny, the bummer of the record for me is that literally every other song is, in my opinion, okay at best. Like New Way to Fly, the second song on the record, is just not any good. Victim of the Game. I've been listening to this album since probably 1991 at a guess. And when that song played the other night, I was like, why have I never heard this before? Like, that's how forgettable that song is, And the biggest bummer for me on the record, and this is more of a track listing issue probably than the quality of the song, is Same Old Story following Unanswered Prayers. I don't know who in Garth's camp was like, let's follow one of the greatest ballads you've ever done in Unanswered Prayers with a so-so ballad at best. I just do not understand that. And then I don't like Mr. Blue that much. Now, I will say, to swing this back up to something positive, I think the song that closes the album out, Wolves, is a really, really good hidden gem from Garth, and I wish more people knew that song. Like every time I listen to side 2 of No Fences, when those two clunker songs go in a row, every time Wolves plays, I'm like, yes, like this makes up for those two bad songs in a row. So that's more or less my thoughts on that. What else you got to round out your thoughts?
I know I'm supposed to be talking the record up, but I do agree with the fact that there's a lot of duds. There's a lot of duds on the album, but in that same token, the singles and the hits that are on the record are so massive. Right. I would say that they're able to carry the record entirely.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree with that, but the one thing that hit me the other night was like in the middle of Same Old Story, I still, because I was listening to the record from an analytical standpoint, like halfway through Same Old Story, I was like still saying to myself, I can't believe that they had this follow Unanswered Prayers, so, but the rest of the record though, they don't do that. They don't put two clunkers in a row. They put single clunker, and like you said, the single is big enough to carry it.
I have the same opinion as many people, I guess, is that I'm okay with hearing a subpar Garth Brooks song in between a really good one or after a really good one. So it's like I kind of like tune those, put them on the back burner as I'm listening to the record, because I know that the next song is Friends in Low Places or whatever.
No, I hear that. Cool. Is that your full and complete argument for Garth Brooks' second record?
Yes.
All right.
You rest your case?
Yeah, case rested.
I rest my case.
Redirect.
The record speaks for itself. You listen to it.
Right on. As far as Led Zeppelin's fourth album goes, personally, I think Led Zeppelin 3 is the underrated gem in the Led Zeppelin catalog. And a lot of people don't like Led Zeppelin 3 that are massive Led Zeppelin fans because it's too folksy for a lot of people. Like it starts off with the Immigrant Song and then it really goes into a lot of folksy ballads. And they found a much better balance, I think, on Led Zeppelin 4, which is why it is so popular, because it does have a couple of moments that would fit in on Led Zeppelin 3, but then almost the entirety of the record would fit in on Led Zeppelin 2 or Houses of the Holy or even Physical Graffiti. But to me, what a monster. Side 1, Black Dog. I mean, for your record to start off with Black Dog, it's almost like a Welcome to the Jungle situation. It's like you have kicked in the door and said you're here to just lay down some sweet grooves. Like that's all four members of Led Zeppelin just firing on all four cylinders. I think Rock and Roll is a fantastic way to keep going, and it's crazy to me that Zeppelin did that song that almost sounds like Chuck Berry-ish, on their fourth record. Battle of Evermore, like I say, that's a song that I think could go on Led Zeppelin 3. It's really a lot of mandolin, and it's very subdued. Then you have, of course, Stairway to Heaven rounds out side one. Here's an interesting fact I don't know if either of you know. Did you know Stairway to Heaven is the single most played song in the history of FM radio?
No, that's crazy.
Is it? You did tell me that.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember why?
Because the DJs had to go pee.
Yep. Well, pee or smoke. Yeah. So back in the day when DJs ran things on all analog, Zeppelin comes out with this record that's got a 7-minute rock song on it. So they would put that on and go smoke. So Stairway to Heaven was never even a single, and it's still the single most played song in the history of rock radio, which I think is pretty sweet. Yeah, because before analog or before digital and everything, they had to be there to pick up the needle and put it down and put on a new record and whatever else. And so they'd be like, I got to pee, put on Stairway. So, that'll give me 7 minutes and 55 seconds.
That's great.
And then I think side two kicks off with such a jam. Misty Mountain Hop is one of my favorite Zeppelin songs. And for whatever reason, I never think about the fact that it actually kicks off side two, which it's just such a jam. It really gets you back into the swing of things after Stairway goes up and down so much. Four Sticks for me is the low point of the album, and I'm pretty sure anybody listening to this that is a Led Zeppelin fan is probably raging and has thrown something just hearing me say that. But it's of all the great songs.
Jason.
Yeah. Why, Jason? Do you know for a fact that he loves 4-6 or doesn't like it, or what am I missing?
No, I just feel like he won't say anything bad about Led Zeppelin at all.
No, that's what I'm saying. Anybody who's a Zeppelin fan is probably mad that I said that 4-6 is the low point of the album. And then Going to California, though, takes a complete and total upswing from 4-6 for me. Like by the time it gets to the end of 4, almost like you were saying about Garth, Kyle, like when 4-6 is happening, I'm like, all right, well, I can sit through this because I know Going to California is coming. I'm going to be a lot happier here in about 3 minutes. And then When the Levee Breaks is an old blues song that they reworked for the end of this, and it's just a monster way to end the record. And what's cool about When the Levee Breaks as far as a ending to this record is it's almost a here's where we're going. Like it sounds like Houses of the Holy and Physical Graffiti. It's almost like a hey, hopefully you like this because you're about to get about 3 or 4 more albums of this. What are your thoughts on Led Zeppelin 4, Kyle?
My main gripe with them is that just a lot of their stuff sounds so similar, and I think people get confused as to what songs are on what records and what everyone knows like the huge hits that they had. And much like the Garth Brooks record, this record every other song is like a song that I want to hear. So I'm looking forward to that song being over and hearing the next one that I want to hear.
Side note, what doesn't help with Led Zeppelin and people knowing what songs are on what albums? They on purpose put the title songs from some albums on other albums. So the song Houses of the Holy is not on the Houses of the Holy album, and the song Remains the Same is not on the Song Remains the Same.
And several of them are just numbered, so it's like, well, I don't know, is that song on 3 or 4? Or it's confusing. 1
and 2 I can see titling that way because they're extremely similar. In 3 and 4 I could see giving similar titles to each other because they have a similar sound. But yeah, that's kind of weird that they did 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then from Houses of the Holy is number 5, and then from there through Coda they all have different titles.
Did they weren't creative enough to have names? They just were like, we can count to 4. So
I honestly, I've never really looked into why. I think the first one was just self-titled, and then they called 2, and I honestly I have no idea why 3 and 4 were. Do either of you? This is just a side note that popped into my head. Do either of you guys know where Led Zeppelin got their name from?
You told me this before too, but this one I forgot.
No, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
So it's a very long story, but I'll narrow it way down. So originally, the reason why Led Zeppelin were put together was because Jimmy Page was brought in as a session musician to Atlantic Records to reconstruct the Yardbirds. Like Jeff Beck had left and Eric Clapton had left. So they brought in this new guitar player, and they said, hey, why don't you get some friends, put together a new lineup, and we'll call you the new Yardbirds. And when he got John Paul Jones and John Bonham and Robert Plant, and what they were doing was so far removed from the Yardbirds that they wanted to call it something new. So they recorded all of what would become Led Zeppelin 1, and Ahmet Ertegun, who was the head of Atlantic Records, was, I believe, out of the country. So his wife came down to listen to the album to basically stand in his place and say, this is what we think of it. And as soon as she heard it, she started screaming and said, this is the worst thing ever. Like, if we put this out, it'll go over like a Led Zeppelin. And so they were like, oh, okay, well, then we'll just call it Led Zeppelin, which I think is rad. They were like, okay, well, so that's why the Hindenburg is on the cover and everything. Was like the wife of the president of the record label heard it and was like, yeah, this is awful and no one's going to buy this.
I think she might have been wrong.
I believe Led Zeppelin may have shifted a few units. I'm not entirely sure, but I think more than a few people have bought their records. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope that they named their records 1, 2, 3, and 4 as like a FU to the record labels. Like there was some sort of like thing where the record label was like, "Oh, you need to do this," and they're like, "Oh, no, we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Thanks, though."
Yeah.
Is there a 5?
Well, I mean, they have 9 studio records total. Their 5th album is called Houses of the Holy. So.
Oh yeah, but it's not 5.
No,
it's House of the
it's
Holy.
1, 2, 3, 4. Then Houses of the Holy. Then I'm not going to do this in order, but Physical Graffiti, Presence, In Through the Outdoor, Coda. And I feel like there's one I'm forgetting. And then they had, while they were a band, they had 1 live album. And since John Bonham passing, there's been at least 2 or 3 other live records, and she's like a ridiculous amount of box sets and stuff. So.
Did you say Presence?
Yeah, Presence was, I think, the second to the last record.
The song remains the same?
That's a live album.
I'm just I have it up on Spotify because I was looking at the track listing for when I talk. So, not that it matters, I guess. I know.
Yeah.
What is Mothership?
One of many, many greatest hits packages.
Oh, okay.
Mothership.
I was like, they're not putting out music in 2007.
Yeah,
so.
no.
I also think that Spotify doesn't always put things in order for some
That's
reason.
why. So I didn't say this in the chat the other day, but when I asked about if Led Zeppelin 4 was the 4th album, is because there was like when I scrolled down, 3 wasn't behind it, and I was like, I don't understand like why.
It's probably based upon some sort of weird algorithm thing of how they get ordered on there. It's weird. I've ran into the same thing with certain artists where the shit's not in order.
I just looked at their discography, and I think I got everything. I know I mentioned In Through the Outdoor, and now that I'm looking at it, if anybody wants to hear a monster Led Zeppelin live album, the one to listen to is How the West Was Won. Holy cow. Like, you want to hear a band on fire? You listen to that record. It's one of the best live albums
Is that
I've
more
ever heard.
than... Oh, we weren't picking live albums. Never mind.
Yeah, we disqualified greatest hits and live albums from this because many times live albums are just greatest hits albums anyways.
I agree.
So anyways, Kyle, do you have any closing thoughts on Led Zeppelin, or are you good to go?
It's an overall great album, and I know I'm supposed to not be talking it up, but like in general, it is a great album. Though I do feel that there are, like I said, there's misses on it to me, like there are on the Garth Brooks record, where I'm listening to something, waiting for the next song to come up because I know it's going to be a great one. And overall, I mean, I can't deny that it's a great record.
Right on. All right, Michelle, are you ready to present your notes to us on Garth Brooks?
Yeah, but real quick, you need to make the drop for great record. From,
Glay
Dewey Cox.
Glay
if you could please make that drop.
Oh boy, yep, I will absolutely do that. You go ahead and start talking about your notes, and I'm going to make myself a physical note to make sure I do that tomorrow.
Okay, so I'll start with Garth Brooks then. I had never listened to a Garth Brooks album front to back.
Mm-hmm.
I know a little bit about him. And I have seen him live, and I think we talked about it on the show.
Yeah, you kind of saw him live. You saw part of a Garth Brooks concert.
What was that, 2013? No.
14.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember when you take a nap in the middle of a concert. It's hard to remember what year it was.
So was that the Joe? Yeah.
Yep.
I might have fallen asleep in the middle, so that's the only concert I've ever fallen asleep on or at.
Well, I'm sure Garth feels honored.
So, and I've been to several concerts, so let's just say that's an award that goes only to Garth Brooks.
Sure. Well, I'm sure of all of the Entertainer of the Year awards that he has and the Grammys and everything, I'm sure that Michelle Fell Asleep at Your Concert award is probably right up on his shelf.
Yeah. I think he appreciates it. He did tell me that. So I came into this record obviously not a Garth fan, and so I was, a little apprehensive to listen to it to begin with. But Thunder Rolls is a jam, which I didn't know was on this record, and I do like that song, and it's a great way to open this record. And so that was a pleasant surprise when I started it. But like you, I think you said, Russ, A New Way to Fly is just like
it's just so there. Like it's not bad. It's just there.
I actually put too slow, breaks up the groove, and a thumbs down. That's in my notes.
Oh my.
So
that's a scathing review from you. going by our series notes so far. I mean, that's not just equals not my jam. That's 3 full notes, including a thumbs down. Holy cow.
And I will say that I listened to this record twice all the way through to give it a chance.
Gotcha. And, all right, so moving on, Two of a Kind? What do you think of Two of a Kind?
Two of a Kind, it was okay. Two of a Kind and Victim of the Game were just kind of there for me, and then it kind of rolls right into Friends in Low Places. The Wild Horses, I know that it's not the Rolling Stones' Wild Horses, but it sounds so familiar to another song that I can't put my finger on it. Like, I don't think it's a cover necessarily, but there's something about it that I can't put my finger on it. I was like,
Yeah.
this sounds so familiar to something else.
And I'm not saying this to pile on the record, but it's, at least to me, and I know you haven't listened to a ton of country, but to me, it's a very generic 90s country sounding song. Like it sounds like, something Tim McGraw or Toby Keith or somebody could have done. So that it might sound familiar for that reason.
Oh, maybe. But then Unanswered Prayers got a thumbs up in my book.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's like the sing along at all Garth shows too. I mean, you would know if you had been awake, but yeah, that's a very popular cut.
And then Same Old Story and Mr. Blue those are the two that you guys were talking about, right? They were just kind of clunkers at the end.
Yep.
I found myself just zoning out during those songs, so I was like, "What?" And then
Appetite for Destruction syndrome, as we learned. What about Wolves? Did you perk up for Wolves or no? Because I was surprised.
A little bit,
I was surprised you didn't at all for Rocket Queen. So I was figuring it was going to be even less for Wolves then. But yeah, I like that song a lot.
Yeah. So it was. I wouldn't say I liked it, but I was just saying it was a nice end of the record after two clunkers like we had talked about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my overall. It wasn't as bad as I was anticipating. Being in
Garth Brooks, 7-time CMA Entertainer of the Year and winner of the coveted "It Wasn't As Bad As I Was Expecting It to Be" award from Michelle.
I'm not mad that I listened to it, and I listened to it twice. So, I mean, it can't be that bad.
Holy cow. I could do this all day. Winner of the "I'm Not Mad I Listened to It" award. Holy
should
cow.
I make him?
You might want to just
some trophies.
Yeah, you just might want to scoot back to 1971 and tell us about Dublin 4 at this point. Holy cow. Before you continue to, I don't know, compliment Garth Brooks.
The most backhanded compliments that you could have.
That's my favorite. All right, Led Zeppelin 4. So, nothing Led Zeppelin. Like, they're there for me, and I don't dislike them. And every time they come on, like the hits in general, I'm always like, oh yeah, that's a jam. But like, I never seek them out or know much about them at all. So going into this, I was like, let's see what else they have to offer. What my biggest problem, which I don't know, it's probably just me personally, is that I don't know what any of the hits for Led Zeppelin are called besides Stairway to Heaven. So like all the songs that I know, I was didn't know.
Like Black Dog, at no point in Black Dog does he say Black Dog, but as soon as he says, hey, mama, you're like, oh, I know the song.
Yep. It's very much a follow-up.
Well, he does say rock and roll in rock and roll. It has been a long time since he rock and rolled.
It has been a long time. But as soon as I put it on, I was like, oh yeah, jam. Like, yes. Yeah. Like, I'm into this record. It starts off fire, just like Garth Brooks did. The song is a jam. Mm-hmm. But then where Led Zeppelin takes off is that it rolls right into rock and roll, which is also a great song. So like I was into the record from the get, 2 songs in. But then like did you say this Battle of Evermore? I put a thumbs down.
Oh no.
Like not my jam. It kind of broke up the record for me, and maybe that's because I was looking for jam after jam after jam, and I don't know the Battle of Evermore.
Right.
And then it goes right into Stairway. So I was like, oh yeah, look, another song I know. Like I love this. The rest of the album, I mean, When the Levee Breaks is one of my other favorite records or songs on the record that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. That was on the record.
Yeah.
And then all the rest of it flows together well. I feel like, other than the Battle of Evermore, I feel like the whole record it was very easy to listen to. It wasn't. There's been some records that I've listened to recently. I'm not going to name any names. That it was a struggle to get to the end, and I feel like this one flew by, and I enjoyed the majority of listening to it. So
cool.
But yeah, I would say Led Zeppelin's biggest downfall is not knowing the names of the songs.
Yeah.
I would be like, hey, play that one song, and I don't even know how to explain it. Like I need to know. I don't know.
And sometimes with Zeppelin, you can't even narrow it down by trying to get the lyrics out either. If you're like, play that one song that's about the Lord of the Rings, they have several songs that's about the Lord of the Rings. So we would still need to narrow it down after that. What about Misty Mountain Hop right after Stairway? No, it was just there. It wasn't like any sort of big jam for you, really. That song for me is just like hilarious in a good way lyrically, because it's absolutely about just getting super high with strangers. So the lyrics for me of that song just rule. Like where he's just like, one of the first lines in the song is like, he says, walking in the park just the other day, lots of people sitting with flowers in their hair. He said, they said, hey man, do you want to score? And he goes, and you know how it is? Like, and then there should be more lyrics there, but he just goes, and you know how it is. Like, so I'm walking through the park and these people offer me drugs, and well, you know the rest. Like, that's
you have to take it when they offer it to you. You can't be rude.
It's up there with me. I've told you about this several times, that Ozzy lyric in the Black Sabbath song "Fairies Wear Boots," where he's like, "I went to the doctor and the doctor said you've smoking and tripping is all that you do," and then Ozzy goes, "Yeah," just like, "Well, you got me." And that Misty Mountain Hop, there should be more to that lyric, but he's like, "And you know how it is," like it's like, so yeah, I had some drugs. So, all right, well, is that your complete and total notes for both of these monster records?
Monster records is a little bit of a stretch, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, they're only two of the largest selling records of their respective decades, so I totally understand where you don't think that they're monster records.
Define monster.
Again, I will say it one more time because maybe it didn't come through on your end, but two of the largest selling records of their respective decades.
All right. Well, yes, I think those are all the notes that I had written down. So
right on. All right, we are going to take a quick break. If you're familiar with the format, it means you're going to hear an ad right now, and then shortly after that, we'll come back, do a little bit of talking. Michelle will give her ruling, then we'll have a reaction. So we will be back in just a couple of seconds.
Hey, I'm Pantsless Aaron.
This is Stevie.
And I'm Augie.
And we are BFYTW, a podcast all about playing games and having fun. Our games are usually based on British panel shows and game shows, but we'll play anything that captures our attention and imagination. Why? It's right there in the title.
You'll never guess what the F stands for.
Hey, you there. We've got a question for you. Are you tired of clickbait stories and the loudest voices driving discussions in culture and entertainment?
If so, I'm Dylan.
I'm Kendall.
And I'm Corey.
And we host the podcast From the Middle. We're middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with points of view somewhere in the middle.
We take a more reasonable and centrist approach in our discussions covering genres like comedy, culture, entertainment, and interviews, with really interesting folks like business owners, comic creators, doctors, news anchors, New York Times best-selling illustrators, professional stand-up comics, and more. We really value a relaxed and conversational podcast, one that we hope is so fun and laid back, you'll forget you're not actually hanging out with us.
So search at From the Mid Pod, just like it sounds, or check us out everywhere you can find podcasts.
All right, we're back. It's time for judgment. Before we get to that, I do want to say that I just want to remind everybody that, of course, we're all on social media and everybody comes in there and helps us out and leaves their tweets and comments and Facebook posts and so on and so forth, and we greatly appreciate that. One thing I do want to remind everybody that if you do want to support the show, would very much appreciate it. All you have to do is go to anchor.fm/Infectious Grove Podcast. You can hit the support button and support the show for as little as $1 a month, which we would be super duper grateful for. So I just thought that I'd mention that. Michelle, you have a ruling ready. Is that correct?
I do.
Are you 100% sure in your ruling?
I am.
She is.
Yeah.
Lay it on us, Michelle. Who wins this week?
Led Zeppelin 4, man.
Oh, sweet. I'm so excited.
I think Joe, who commented on our Facebook this week, would be surprised that I picked a classic rock album.
Joe who left what I feel like is the Facebook comment equivalent of "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed" is basically what he said to you. Joe can continue listening to these episodes because I believe he threatened us with not listening to the bonus episodes.
He said he would give us one more try. And so, which is not why I picked this album, by the way. So I'm not letting Joe win. This was the superior album. I gave it a 7 out of 10, which is a high. That's a high number. I liked this record. I really did. And I didn't know that I liked it until I listened to it. Garth Brooks, on the other hand, got a low 4 out of 10. So sorry about that, Kyle.
Well,
a low 4.
Now, anybody who listens to the show is never going to believe this, but I have some thoughts I want to share on this.
Oh, boy.
Number one, I want to say that I think that the more that you listen to Led Zeppelin, the more I think you'll find that they have a lot more to offer you. And I think you should go back and listen to 3 and see what you think of that. 3 is my favorite Led Zeppelin record. It is not everyone's favorite Led Zeppelin record. It's been made clear to me that I'm very wrong in that being my favorite one. However, I want to also.
So you didn't pick that because everyone told you you're wrong.
Right.
You picked 4 instead.
Yeah. I want to say about Garth, and I don't know how to say this without sounding like I'm insulting, no offenses, because I'm absolutely not. I really don't think you should give up on Garth, because remember that that's his second record. And yes, there are some downers on there, songs that aren't that great. You got to remember, he didn't have a very strong team behind him just yet. So those songs that are that good, that you did like, the Thunder Rolls and Friends in Low Places and Unanswered Prayers, in my opinion, at least the next album, Rope in the Wind through Scarecrow, are all songs of that caliber. So,
bro, I fell asleep at his concert. Like, what? And I listened to a record of his. Like, how much more do I have to put into Garth?
Okay.
You fell asleep at his concert. Nobody else, just you.
That's
just
what I'm saying. He's saying I need to give him another shake. But like, bro, that's so many things I did.
Kyle, I can't remember how many times I've said this in my life, but I'm done with Michelle. You take it from here. Do you have some words you'd like to say on Garth's behalf, Kyle, and maybe take a better swing at it than I did?
I'm happy overall because I got Michelle to listen to an entire Garth record, which would have never ever happened otherwise.
That was his entire motive, was to get me to listen to that record.
Nice. Well, I mean,
wins.
However it's got to be done,
He created this podcast, and this was the long con. He was like, maybe I'll get her to listen to this record.
Yeah, it's like Kyle won't even show up for the next episodes and going forward because mission accomplished.
He just moves out of the house.
He's going to go write it in his diary. Dear diary, I got Michelle to listen to No Fences today. But yeah, no, and this is one of those weeks too where, and next week is one of them. I'll get to that in a second, but next week is one of them as well where I'm fans of both of these records. Like I wouldn't be mad if one or the other won. I do honestly believe that Led Zeppelin 4 is the stronger of the two records overall. So I'm happy that it won, but I would be fine either way. I'm just happy we get to keep Joe listening to the bonus episodes.
I know. I did it for the Joe. Just kidding. It's a superior record.
Right. All right. Well, that is where we are at with the episode now. So that record, Led Zeppelin 4, is safe for now, and we'll move on in the tournament. Next week is another 2 huge records going up against each other, and I would be in shock and awe if you've ever listened to either of these records in their entirety. You are going to listen to Metallica's self-titled album, which is their 5th album, and many refer to as the Black Album. There's no actual title for it. It just has a black cover and it's self-titled.
What do you mean that there's no title?
It's just not. It doesn't have a title.
It's just called Metallica.
Yeah, it's just Metallica. It's not even self-titled. It's just
Well, it already gets points deducted because you can't even come up with even a title.
So it's one of the best albums of the 90s. Anyways, it is Metallica's 5th ever, and among Metallica fans, it's extremely divisive among Metallica fans. So, but I will tell you, it's another one where I think like most of the songs that start, you're gonna be like, oh, I know this one. Like I like over half the record was hit singles. So
I don't dislike Metallica. I should say that. I just have never listened to the record. They're just kind of there for me. So
I think I'm
very interested to see
if they have a record that's going to appeal to you. I think this is going to be the one to be.
Okay, we'll see.
And then Metallica's 5th album, the Black Album, is going up against Pink Floyd's 7th album, The Dark Side of the Moon. So
aren't you just happy as a pig in shit?
So, well, now this is another one where my personal favorite record, like The Dark Side of the Moon, is my 5th favorite Pink Floyd record. But I have entered The Dark Side of the Moon into the tournament for several reasons that we will discuss next week. So,
all right.
So there it is. That is the 3rd round of the tournament. We will get going on prep for this weekend's main episode. So you guys will be hearing this on this coming Friday, and so when you're hearing this, we will be one day out from recording the follow-up episode of the main one, which will be out on Monday. And so for now, the album is safe from this week, and moving on in the tournament. We will see you guys later. Bye.
Sorry, Garth, I tried.